Hartford County is on fire and Litchfield County is wide open. What does that mean if you're moving to Connecticut in 2026? So today I'm going to show you something most people never see. Two Connecticut counties sitting at completely opposite ends of the market right now. One of them is moving so fast, buyers are losing bids every single week. The other one is wide open with room to negotiate, and buyers haven't seen stuff like this in years. By the end of the video, you're going to know exactly which one fits the way you actually want to buy a house. I'm Dave Jones with Dave Jones Realty. I have a team of agents and brokers here in Connecticut, and we help people buy in all these counties on a daily basis. Let's start with the county that's actually on fire right now, Hartford County. As of the most recent SmartMLS data, Hartford County's single-family homes are selling in a median of just 18 days. That's not a typo. That's not a fluke month. Hartford has consistently sat at the lowest month supply of any county in our state for the entire year. It has just recently landed with just 1 month of inventory. Put that in perspective. Anything under about 3 months of supply is considered a seller's market. Hartford isn't just in a seller's market. It is at the extreme edge of one, and it's been there for a while now. It's not just a single hot quarter. Median price in Hartford County hit $443,000, up about 10% in a single year. That is serious, sustained price growth, not a temporary spike that's going to correct itself after a couple months. And buyers are paying close to 6% over asking price on average right now, which on a $400,000 house means almost $24,000 stacked on top, not counting closing costs. Why is this happening? Part of it is straightforward. Hartford offers strong job access, real highways and infrastructures, prices that are still meaningfully lower than you'd find closer to the coast. Buyers from places like Massachusetts have been steadily discovering this, and that demand is leading them directly to Hartford County's doorstep. When a market offers that combination and inventory stays tight, you get exactly what we're seeing now. Fast sales, rising prices, and buyers competing hard for what little homes are available. It is a textbook supply and demand story that's playing out in real time, except most people never bother to look at the actual numbers behind it. They just hear the name Hartford and they assume it's calm, sleepy market because it's not Fairfield County. The data says otherwise, and here's what that actually means if you're house hunting in Hartford County. You need to be pre-approved before you ever start looking. Ask for the names. I have the best lenders. Not after you fall in love with the house, but now. You need to be ready to make a decision fast, sometimes within a day or two of the listing going live. You need to go in understanding that the asking price is often the starting point, not the actual number you're going to end up paying. It sounds intense, and it is. But here's the real hook. A market moving this fast isn't a warning sign. It's a signal. It tells you that Hartford County has real, sustained demand behind it, which matters just as much as your future resale value. If you buy here and your circumstances change in 3 or 4 years, it's exactly the kind of market that protects you on the way out. Here's why this matters more than people think. Most relocation buyers pick a county based on the name they thought they recognized or a price they saw in a search result. They don't actually look at how the market is actually behaving. And in this exact moment, that's how people end up either getting blindsided by a bidding war that they weren't prepared for, or sitting on a property for months wondering why nothing's happening, when the real answer was sitting in the data the whole time. If you're watching this and you've already lost out on a house to a bidding war somewhere in Connecticut, drop a comment and tell me what happened. I read every single one, and honestly, it's usually the same story. The house was underpriced, or your offer was a little too low, there was too much hesitation, or you just didn't know the market was moving that fast in the first place. Knowing which mistake you're prone to making is half the battle. Now let's go to the complete opposite end of the spectrum. Litchfield County. Litchfield is currently sitting at roughly 3 to 4 months supply, more than triple of what is available in Hartford. Homes are taking a median of 44 days to sell, more than double Hartford's pace, and buyers in Litchfield County are paying under of asking price. In some recent readings, it's been almost dead even with asking price, which in this state right now is genuinely rare. Median price in Litchfield came in right at $467,500, which is actually higher than Hartford's number, but the growth has been far more modest, sitting closer to flat over the past year compared to Hartford's double-digit jump. New listings have also been climbing in Litchfield, up double digits in the most recent report, which means there's actually more for buyers to look at, not less. So why is Litchfield behaving so differently? Part of it is just geography. This is the most rural of Connecticut's core counties. It has longer drives between towns. It has less highway density. It has a slower overall pace, which is exactly the appeal for a certain kind of buyer. But it also means the buyer pool's naturally smaller in a place like this than Hartford. There's less competition for the same house, and it translates directly into longer days on market and less pressure to pay over asking price. So here's the rehook for Litchfield. And this is not a weak market. This is a market giving buyers something they haven't had in a while: breathing room. You can actually schedule a showing without racing 5 other buyers to the door, without waiting in line to get in the door. You can actually negotiate on the price, maybe get some of the closing costs paid. Sometimes you might even get a repair if something came up. You can take a weekend to think about it instead of being forced in multiple offers within minutes of looking at the house. And here's why I'm showing you these 2 counties specifically. Instead of just talking about Connecticut as one big market, the state doesn't move as a single unit. Every county sits somewhere on the same spectrum between fast and competitive and slow and negotiable. Fairfield County runs closer to the Hartford side of the spectrum with strong demand and rising prices, but at a much higher price point overall. New Haven County tends to sit somewhere in the middle, not as fast as Hartford, not as open as Litchfield, more moderate competition depending on the specific price range in the specific town. That middle ground actually matters a lot because most relocation buyers don't end up choosing between the 2 extremes. They end up somewhere in the middle. So you need to understand what any given county is doing currently. If you walk into a moderate market expecting Hartford level competition and you overpay out of fear, that's not a good thing. If you walk into a hot market expecting Litchfield level patience, you're going to lose every single house that you actually want. That's really the whole point of breaking this down county by county instead of treating Connecticut like one single big market, because it's not. The state is bigger and more varied than that. And the right strategy changes depending on exactly where you're looking. So which one is actually right for you? It depends entirely on the kind of buyer you are. And being honest with yourself about that answer matters more than which county sounds good on paper. If you need certainty and speed and you're financially ready to move the moment the right house appears, Hartford County's intensity might actually work in your favor because the same demand is what protects your investment long term. You are definitely trading some short-term stress for long-term convenience. The fact that you bought into a market people actually want to be in. If you want negotiating power, more time to think things through, and a market that isn't going to punish you for taking a breath, Litchfield County is handing that to you right now in a way that it has not done in years. You're trading some of the fast appreciation for a calmer process and more control in terms of the purchase. Neither one of these is the wrong choice. They're just different tools for different situations. They're both built for different kinds of buyers with different priorities. The mistake isn't picking one over the other. The mistake is walking into either one without knowing which kind of market you're actually stepping into. We don't want you ending up being shocked when it doesn't behave the way you assumed it will. I see this play out constantly. A buyer comes from a slower market somewhere else. They might have had trouble selling their home. They get excited about Hartford County. They fall in love with the house. They take a couple days to think about it the way they would have back home, and then they lose it. Before they even finish discussing if it was the right house for them, it's sold. A buyer assumes every part of Connecticut is moving at Hartford speed, and then they panic into an aggressive offer on a Litchfield County property, and they end up paying thousands more than they need to on a home that had almost zero competition. Both of these situations completely could be avoided once you actually know what you're walking into, and both of them happen more than people realize. Why does this happen? Simply because nobody sat down and showed them the actual numbers before you started looking. And look, this is exactly the kind of thing my team does on a daily basis. Things are going to get a lot harder. Don't make your decisions alone, scrolling through listings at midnight, trying to guess what number is a deal or a trap. Don't wonder if you're overpaying or if you're going to lose out by waiting too long. Most relocation buyers I talk to aren't actually unsure about Connecticut. They're unsure about timing. They're unsure about counties or towns. The uncertainty is usually what causes them to freeze up for months, or they panic into a decision that they regret. If you want to actually talk through your specific budget, your timeline, what is important to you, let's help make the market make sense for you. Reach out to my team, book a free Zoom call, and plan it. We'll walk you through real numbers, not just using a YouTube summary you watched once and then try to figure it out on your own. We'll actually look at what works for you. Here's something concrete you can do this week before you ever hop on a call. Pull up whichever county you're leaning towards and ask a simple question. Has the typical days on market in that area been getting shorter or longer over the past few months? That single number will tell you how you should approach making an offer almost more than anything else will. A shrinking number means you need to move a little bit faster and come in strong. A growing number means you might have a little bit more time and you might have a little more room. It's not complicated once you look at the numbers and know how to interpret them. So here's the truth nobody puts in a headline. There is no single answer to whether or not now is a good time to buy in Connecticut. It depends entirely on what you're looking to do, what you're willing to compete for, and how much patience you actually have for the process. Hartford County is rewarding speed and certainty. Litchfield County is rewarding patience and negotiation. Both are real opportunities sitting right next to each other in the same state, behaving in opposite ways. You just have to know exactly which game you're playing before you start, instead of trying to figure it out the hard way after you already lost out on a house, or worse yet, overpaid for a house. This is also exactly why I keep coming back to data instead of opinions. Anyone can tell you a county feels hot or feels slow based on a handful of showings they did. That's not data. That's a small sample size wearing a confident voice. What I just walked you through comes straight from the SmartMLS. That is the realtor's resource. It reports on all counties. We update it daily. It's the same information my team uses when we set expectations with buyers before we ever step into a house. It's the difference between a guess and a strategy. One more thing, as the market shifts, sometimes quickly, sometimes within a quarter, the numbers I gave you today are accurate as of right now. They're pulled straight from the MLS. I did it right before I came up to the studio, but they change, possibly within months. A county that's wide open today can tighten up in the spring, and a county that's red hot right now could cool off in the fall. Don't treat any single video, including this one, as the permanent answer carved in stone. Treat it as a starting point for a real conversation, and check the numbers again before you make your offer. Real estate isn't a one-time lookup. It's something worth revisiting every few months if you're serious about timing a move correctly. Instead of just hoping it works out, If you want to see exactly which towns inside Connecticut are actually heating up the fastest right now, I made a full breakdown just before this one. Click it right here, and I'll meet you over there.